episode of Beer Activists, hanging out with Blake from LTD, or Living the Dream Brewery. Thanks for having us in, man.
No, thanks for coming. Excited to have you here.
So I know you guys are just days, maybe weeks. I don't want to blow the top secret announcement.
Very
you
soon.
guys are this far away from opening. You guys let us have kind of a sneak peek. You can see the tanks behind us. But tell us a little about LTD, or Living the Dream Brewing.
Yeah, I'd love to. So started off, Jeremy and I, the other business partner here that helped start the brewery, met in college at the University of Minnesota, Middlebrook Hall, and basically found out that we could buy the ingredients to legally make beer. And
you guys are 21, of course.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah. I'm 29 now. 10 years ago. Yeah, sure. I'm still. So we basically just we discovered, some of our batches went really well, and well, why did they go so well? What did we do that batch? And we just started investigating it. Jeremy was in organic chemistry, was taking all different types of chem classes, and so we started to hone in our recipes, make some great beer that people were really starting to enjoy, and we were enjoying it ourselves a lot more than some of the beer that we were buying at the time. So it was really just something that we decided to go full on when we built our semi-automated brewery about 6 years ago. So we could replicate all of our recipes, we could make a consistent product. And that was kind of what spawned it. We were going to go into Northeast Minneapolis, believe it or not, in September of 2012. We had a place picked out, and we had our equipment bought. It was on the way. Didn't work out, kind of last minute, but took a step back and said, where do we want to really be? We want to be a community-based brewery, and we were able to work with the city of Hopkins to allow us to come into Hopkins and start up a community brewery.
That's awesome. So why Hopkins? Just because they were so welcoming, or they kind of had the property you were looking for? How did the relationship get started?
So it really got started, it was a friend of a friend had said, we were trying to find a home. We were trying to find a community that really wanted us. And we just so happened to get in contact with the Hopkins City Council and also the Hopkins Economic Development Manager. Said they'd talk with them, presented what we are, who we are, what we're all about, and said, we'd love to have you here. What do we need to do to make it happen? And so we had to change the conditional use. So we had to change, so for breweries to be allowed to operate, normally it's an industrial zone.
Sure.
This is a retail zone location, so
right.
We had to have the use change where we could operate in a retail zone location on Main Street. And then the city didn't have any tap room law written. They didn't have any growler law written for on sale and off sale. So we had those two laws basically put into place so that we could apply for a license to be able to sell beer in a tap room and off sale growlers.
It's awesome. You guys have a really great space here. You're kind of right on Main Street. I was thinking as I was driving in, it kind of reminded me of Bemidji Brewing spot up north, where there's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of other great businesses, restaurants. You guys have Pizza Luce just up the block. I could see hanging out here for several hours on a Saturday night, playing some games and eating some luce and drinking some beer.
Most definitely. I mean, that was kind of the whole concept, is we wanted to be on Main Street, and we wanted to be able to partner and have that experience where you can walk down the block, pick up a burger, you can you can order in luce, you can bring luce over, you can go to all the great places on Main Street and take some time, have a good beer and relax, have great conversations here with your family, and that was why we chose Main Street and why we're in downtown Hopkins.
So being in downtown Hopkins, wanting to capture a bunch of that foot traffic, one of the laws that did just change is tap rooms will be able to be open on Sundays now.
That's correct.
Without being able to sell growlers, are you guys going to be open on Sundays?
We are going to be open on Sundays. It won't be right away because with our current license, it didn't get included on Sundays because the law wasn't in effect then. when we applied for it. So we will be reapplying for in July for the next year's license, and so we will apply to be open on Sundays.
It's not too long to wait.
No, not too long. Not too long.
Timely. So tell us about the system. What kind of system are you guys brewing on?
Yeah, so the system is an 8-barrel system, which is kind of unique. If in most craft breweries, usually it's 7, 10, 14, or 15, I should say, 20, 30, or maybe even 60. So we have this unique 8-barrel system. It was custom made in Canada, and then we picked up our other fermenter out of a brewery in Oregon. We acquired it from a brewery in Ohio that was just unfortunately ran into some partnership issues and had to sell off the equipment, but I guess it worked out well for us, and it's a really flexible system, allows us to brew a wide variety of beers, have a good assortment. We also have serving tanks, so we can, after we brew, say, a base recipe, we can do some unique things, whether it be a particular style of dry hopping, whether it be using vanilla beans to add some vanilla flavor to it, some cocoa nibs to add some chocolate flavor to it. We can make a wide variety of styles, and it's really a system that was almost too perfectly suited for what we do.
What's the beer you're most looking forward to having people try, put out to the general public?
I'm most looking forward to our triple IPA. It won't be available right away. It's my favorite beer. I'm an IPA guy by nature. That's my style that I really love. I enjoy all beers, but that's the one that I grab onto. But if you had to say a beer that would probably be available, we haven't announced the beer list, but Nightmare, which is our black ale, is a beer that I thoroughly enjoy as well.
How secretive are you with the recipes? Can we ask what hops are in the
Sure.
IPA?
Yeah. So we use a variety. Some that are actually much more difficult to get as a microbrewery. That's one of the things that a lot of people, homebrewers, don't realize is that hops are relatively difficult.
They're becoming more and more of a commodity.
More and more. And so we use some Australian Galaxy hops in that one. We use a little bit of Crystal in that one as well. And then we use some Centennial as well. So we use variety depending on whether we're using them during the boil for the dry hop. I could go through the whole recipe design, but that's
the beer nerds want to know. Walk us through it.
So most of our boil hops, so the full boil hops, we do mix in a little Australian Galaxy. You don't want to do too much of it, so that gives us that nice citrusy taste in it. It's also our dry hop that we use, so primarily Australian Galaxy. Our Centennial is kind of our midway through the boil when we throw those in. And then we use some Crystal, kind of not quite at the boil up, but a little after midway too, so a little further on. And we also use Australian Galaxy during flame out, or your aroma hops. So,
Sure.
So there you go.
Cool. There you have it. So what is the one thing that was the biggest challenge you think when it comes to opening a new brewery? Who was trying to crush? Who's trying to stop you from living the dream?
It's kind of funny because you take brewery tours, and a lot of the times, especially if it was the owner or the founder, they'll tell you it's not an easy road. And how difficult could it be? You just throw in your equipment and start brewing.
And there you go, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd say the two main things that were the most difficult portion of it was just all of the laws around it. So just submitting for your federal license or your brewer's notice through the TTB is a large process in itself, and then waiting for that to come to fruition. But also it's a little bit different when you're in a commercial building than when you're in, say, your home, in terms of work that you can do to the space. So going through the process of plan review, having an architect, you have to have licensed architects submit plans, you have to going through the process of the build out using contractors for the things that you absolutely need to do. And then if you're going to be the general contractor on the space, which is what we did, you know, making sure that you have all of the workers' comp in place so that they'll allow you to do all of the things that you need to do. And then ultimately finding out all of, when you build out the space, the nuances of the code that you have to be up to. So the Department of Health, making sure that you're up to code in their mind and meeting their regulations was very difficult. So most breweries deal with the Department of Agriculture. We had we were fortunate enough to be the first to go through the Department of Health, so we had to do a lot of education during the plan review because the Department of Health had never done a brewery before, and therefore it was kind of a longer process and a little bit more difficult as a result of...
Right, both doing a little bit of learning along the way, I'm guessing.
Right, yeah.
So what for those that don't know, and I know it's a fairly new thing for Department of Health instead of Department of Ag,
Yep.
what brought about that change, do you know?
Sure, great question. So, because we didn't know we were going to be in the Department of Health when we had submitted our plan review, but if a brewery is going to come out and they're going to have potentially more than 50% of their sales, so say 51% of their sales via the retail establishment, the tap room, whether you're selling at the pint or whatever out of your tap room, that is looked at as something that would be the Department of Health. So they're what regulate bars and restaurants, and that retail portion is under the Department of Health. And if you're the majority under the Department of Health of your sales, so more than 50% or potentially more than 50%, you have to go through the Department of Health. The Department of Agriculture has been approving all of the breweries and doing plan review on breweries because up until 3 years ago when the tap room bill was passed, there was only distribution sales more or less besides growlers, obviously.
Sure.
But so that's what brought basically the tap room, the ability to sell a significant amount of your dollars out of the retail establishment brought in this change of the Department of Health versus the Department of Agriculture, and we're kind of one of the guinea pigs. I'm sure not the last, but definitely the first. So
that's an interesting tale.
Yeah, I could go into it for a long time. So,
maybe we'll just have a beer instead.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So, what's the one thing you want people to know about living the dream?
So many things to know. If I had to boil it down to one thing, what we're about. We're about bringing the experience. Living the dream doesn't just mean that we're living the dream. The whole intention behind the name is that people are living the dream, and we wanted to create an experience through our beer that basically emulates that. And that's why all the beer names are named after dreams. It's supposed to be the experience of what's the best time in your life. Normally when you're drinking a beer. so there you go.
Right.
So we're going to be doing all different types of beers. We want to bring the experience to the consumer, and we're going to try and at least have some similar styles on tap. But for the most part, we're going to be doing quite a bit of different brews and bringing an experience or the dream.
Awesome. What's the one piece of advice we'd give to the next home brewer, who's got stuff fermenting in the closet right now, who's looking to live the dream?
Live the dream in terms of starting a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be shy to reach out to other breweries. It was one of the things that we were really nervous about. There's so much you can learn. We've had a couple of those people in here helping actually build out the space because they wanted to know. Reach out to a brewery. We reached out to some breweries that were really helpful along the way. I think that's the best advice that I can give is most breweries are willing to talk with anyone about things that you should consider, and had we done a little bit more of that, we probably would have saved ourselves a lot of time. So get out there, check out a lot of breweries, figure out what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it, and be ready to be emotionally and pretty much everything invested in what you're going to do, because it's you know, you hear breweries talk about, you know, it wasn't easy, and you hear about the hardships. It's you know, living through it, it's definitely not, you know, the dream can change. It's not always a bright dream. So being prepared to.
You don't want to turn it into a nightmare.
No. But just be really prepared, you know, with everyone. If you're married, be very prepared and set the right expectations up front of what it's going to be, because it's a lot of work. But
well, it's only just begun. You've got a lot of long nights.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, you've got to have that support system in place, and
Exactly.
everybody else want to support the dream.
Exactly.
Well, cheers, man. Congrats.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Shit, you know what happened?
What's that?
I didn't hit record.
Oh, really?